small hours of the morning.
Wordlessly, I stepped forward. My movements didn't pull his gaze away at whatever he watched in his rictus of shock. Kneeling down, I slid my arms around him and pulled him closely to me. As his chin came to rest on my shoulder, my body pressed close to his. The spell over him broke and the tears flowed freely once more. I'm sorry. Oh shit, I'm sorry, David. It was just... Shh. It's alright. I know. Tonight's been rough. The past couple of days as well. Just let it out. It made me tremble to hear those deep and soulful sobs. His arms flung around me, as beneath that streetlight in the middle of the night, we held each other longer than any time previous. His scales faded to a more subdued hue, the color washing out to a dusty light blue as he slowly found himself again. Jax's breathing started to slow as he gathered himself together. The last few tears rolled down his cheeks as he composed himself enough to stand. Sorry. I know I've been saying that all night, but you didn't deserve that. I just couldn't see anything but my job ending and you weren't there anymore. It was just Zach giving me that judgmental stare. Jax, who is Zach? The guy I mentioned in our date. He was a bigger piece of work than I let on. I didn't want to tell you about the breakup, that there was a bigger reason than just him being an asshole. I felt a twinge of anger rise again, both at Zach for what he must have done and Jax for feeling like he couldn't talk to me. I forced it down and just listened. Our last few days together were rough. Fights every day, shouting matches at home. I was the problem, and he had to make me understand why. He thought at first that the club had some hold on me, that I was just too weak to leave. He swallowed hard, his hand reaching out to lean against the street lamp and keep him upright. Instinctively, I stepped closer to him. Take his free hand. Tentatively, I extended my hand to touch the top of his. At first he drew back, lifting his gaze to mine again, before weaving his fingers between mine and giving my hand a gentle squeeze. I nodded to him, motioning for him to continue. About a week before we broke up, he tried to get me fired, set up an elaborate ruse in order to get me in trouble so I wouldn't have any choice but to leave. He said he knew best, that I'd be better off if I didn't work there anymore. He said he was doing me a favor. It was quite a bit to take in at once. I thought it was odd. His disinterest in guys being spurred on by nothing more than just a bad breakup, but now I began to see the whole picture. This guy didn't just ignore him. He tried to completely dominate him. No wonder you snapped at me, Jax. I wasn't trying to do anything. You know that. I know. The manager had been expressing his displeasure more lately, and I just wanted to see you again. Spend some time with you. I didn't pay attention, and maybe Zach was right. That's bullshit. No one could be fine with manipulating someone like that. Like that could be right about anything. You wouldn't have gotten this angry if it didn't mean something to you. That's what's real. Not what some creep who wants you as a trophy says, and not what some idiot who couldn't watch that go says. Hold up. I guess there really was a reason I was willing to give you my number. Thanks, David. Thanks for everything. I think I just need to get some sleep. Try to calm down a little. This has been a rough night. So I saw. You going to be alright? Jack swallowed hard, lifting his hand softly, as if a weight remained around his neck. He met my gaze, letting out a soft sigh before he found the words. I will be, if you'd stay the night with me. Ooh. What's this leading to, y'all? Am I gonna get some till? I was caught off guard by the request. I didn't want to take advantage of his current emotional state, but that same concern didn't want to see him alone in bed with his soft sort of mood looming over him. My hesitation must have been more apparent than I thought, as I noticed him step forward and kiss me gently on the cheek before pulling me into an embrace. I see the wheels turning. I just don't want to wake up alone. I've got a couch if you're uncomfortable sharing a bed. Though no hanky-panky. Sorry, I'm just too exhausted to enjoy it. Hanky-panky? Bed. I think I can keep my hands to myself for the most part. You look like you could use a long night of cuddling. I certainly wouldn't say no to that. Gently, he wrapped his arms around mine and motioned down the street in the direction he wanted us to go. Let's go. The walk back to his place was uneventful but very satisfying. He expressed some concern about my car, but it was locked what? Oh. So I wasn't too worried. We talked a bit more about him, about Zach, and about living under someone like that. He was feeling better, letting someone in and sharing that part of his life. I couldn't fathom staying with someone like that. But it did explain more about him, his desire to please, his showmanship. He wanted to be free and found a way to express that. This is the exact same apartment that Seth was in. Whatever. When we got in and settled, Jax could barely keep himself standing. He didn't even undress and instead stumbled into bed, with only the sodium street lamp to light his room. Climb into bed, bitch. Trying not to disturb him, not that it seemed possible considering how quickly he zonked out, I got as comfortable as I could and slid under the sheets next to him. I cuddled up close and lightly kissed his cheek before drifting off to dreamland myself. Morning came all too quickly as the sun from the nearby windows poured over me and pulled me back to the waking world. I felt much better after a night's sleep and slowly pulled myself up to a sitting position. To my surprise, Jax was nowhere to be seen. I got up and began looking around when I heard the sounds of a shower behind the bathroom door. I knocked softly to make certain he was all right. Morning, sleepyhead. Thanks for staying the night. Probably the soundest sleep I've had in ages. I'll be out in a minute. Yawning, I shrugged and wandered into the kitchen. The scent of fresh coffee was welcoming, as were the 2 toaster waffles with syrup. I chuckled as I picked up the note and laid next to them. It wasn't bacon and eggs, but it was still appreciated. This bitch is ungrateful. I wolfed down my impromptu breakfast and took a sip of coffee, looking up when Jack stepped into the kitchen doorway. As happy as I was to see the smile on his face, I couldn't help but wonder why it was. Not that I'm complaining, but you seem much happier this morning for some reason. Good shower? More like good company. That and, before it would happen, I had a surprise planned. May not be the best way to do it, but can you grab me something out of the fridge? Despite the strange nature of the request, I obliged. Pulling open the door, I noticed little more than a few cans of energy drinks and condiment packets until I looked up on the middle shelf. Smack dab in front of me was a giant wicker basket, one of the old-style ones they showed in every picnic picture. I looked up to ask what this was about. When I saw Jack standing there holding a rose, I made a mental note to figure out how he hid that from view. I wanted to do our 3rd date before anything else can get in the way. We had enough bad things happen last night. I want today to be all about us. That's why we're going on a picnic. Ooh! Picnic! I was flabbergasted. He placed the rose on the counter and leaned in, pressing his lips softly against mine before slipping his hands around my waist. Ooh. He broke the kiss reluctantly and looked back at me. Wow, this is amazing. How did you plan all this? It's fantastic. Thanks. I was hoping you'd like it. I just felt really bad about our last date and how short it was. I wanted to make sure that everything for this one was perfect. I certainly couldn't say no, and he'd packed plenty of goodies for the both of us. Besides, it was supposed to be a beautiful day outside. I agreed, and he beamed, shifting to a neatly blinding shade of blue. I know the perfect place. Come on, we'll load everything in your car and head out right now. In his hurry, Jax had forgotten that my car was still parked back at the club, which was a few blocks down the street. He soon realized his mistake as we walked out into the parking lot. Still, he remained undeterred. He wound up taking a detour back to the club, picnic basket in tow, and chatted along the way. As I suspected, my car was left undisturbed, and after we had loaded everything into it, Jax pointed the way, and we were off. He wouldn't tell me the name of the park as we wound through the back streets to the outside town. When the last of the buildings gave way to sparse homes, he finally let me in on his secret. Ooh, what secret? I used to come this way sometimes when I was a freshman. Whenever classes got overwhelming, I needed a break from all the stress. It's stereotypical, I know, but sometimes just laying out on the grass, soaking up the sun, just makes everything better. Anyway, I found a spot near a little brick amphitheater, and that should be great for a picnic. Ooh, make out point. Hold up. What's this gonna be about? When we arrived, we hit a snag. Apparently there was some event going on, and they were in the middle of setting up. Jax was crestfallen until I noticed an overhanging hill just a little deeper into... Are we about to have that public sex? That public sex? It was covered in thick, fleshy cut grass, and had a nice old oak tree to provide some shade. He brightened back up, and the two of us trudged up a narrow trail to the top of the hill. We were more than happy to have a seat after working our way up to the remarkably steep incline. Jack set out the dishes while I leaned back against the tree and enjoyed the dappled sunlight filtering through the branches. Why is he wearing that? Is that a glitch? Why is he wearing those clothes? Are you in the mood for sandwiches, or do you want something a little light to start off with? Let's eat. I'm famished. I couldn't eat all that. I couldn't eat it all yesterday, and after last night, I could just use something more than toaster waffles. Sandwiches it is then. Why is he wearing those clothes? From out of the folds of the tablecloth in the basket, he produced a handful of wrapped sandwiches, offering me one as he took one himself and settled in next to me. As we ate, snuggled up under the shade of the tree, our conversation wandered between our favorite stories to reminiscing about old flames. Old flames? What are flames? Jax insisted on hearing about my previous attempts in the dating scene. Much to my own chagrin, it was only fair, considering I'd heard so much about his. It really wound up being the best that we broke it off. We just wanted two different things. I guess you never realize that until you've been together for a while. Jax got quiet, turning a shade of too duller as his gaze wandered over the edge of the hill. I was concerned I said something to upset him, but he looked back at me after a moment with a half smile. Ooh, look at that nice color palette. Sorry, old memories. I didn't mean to pack those in with the sandwiches and pudding, just I felt much the way with Zach. You're the one who wanted to talk about the old flames. There are much more pleasant things to talk about, you know, and more pleasant things to do. Just going to leave that one hanging there, huh?